and music, your memories.
Yeah, thanks for staying with us here on Game on this Flashback Friday. As promised, we have rugby royalty with us here in studio tonight. It is a Flashback Friday. Akhona Ndungane is here with us to help us look ahead to the Currie Cup semi-finals. We'll talk a bit of Springboks. Also, is a World Cup winner, so no better person to talk Springboks than Akhona Ndungane. Good evening, and thank you for being here. Firstly,
good evening, Tabiso, and thanks for having me here.
Thank you. I'm glad we are here to talk about the Currie Cup here. But before we talk about the Currie Cup, I want to talk golf.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I was...
Okay, we can start with golf.
No, the reason why I was reading a golf magazine and you were featuring in a golf magazine,
yes.
Complete Golfer.
Yes.
And they were talking about how good you are.
Yes.
Why
you look surprised?
No, because I am.
Okay.
What's the handicap?
So my index is 4.7.
4.7?
Yes.
That is below 5.
That is correct.
Gee, so
just to put it in perspective, so the number one golfer in the world, Scotty Scheffler, is a +7.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not far off from him.
Mm-hmm.
My bank account might be very far off,
very far
but
off,
my golf game is not far off from him.
But how seriously do you take the golf?
I think I enjoy the game. I think, if you've been competing for most of your life, you still have that competitiveness in you, and I think it's the closest thing that I have, and I like beating my brothers and my friends. So I enjoy golf. Golf is a good sport, and it also teaches you discipline as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of discipline? Just to make sure the ball stays on the green?
Just make sure that you arrive on time.
Okay.
Golf etiquette, you don't speak when someone is playing. And, just a bit of not cheating, because there's a lot of people that cheat in golf. So there's quite a lot that it teaches you.
So how often do you play?
I hope my wife is not listening.
I don't think she's listening.
So I play once a week. And then I try and go to the driving range maybe twice a week. Yeah, because I think for me, I don't like not being good at something. So you have to put in the work in golf. I think it's.
So you want to improve all the time.
You want to improve all the time, and I think for me it's the most difficult sport ever. So it needs you to be playing or practicing. Just making sure that the game is on top. Otherwise, it's going to show.
So do you play with James Kamte? Because the piece I was reading, they were talking about you and James Kamte.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to play with him a couple of times. And, what a beautiful swing he has. The way he hits the ball, his ball strike, you can see that is someone that has won on Sunshine Tour, who's played on the PGA. He's played close to my idol, Tiger Woods.
And the Asian Tour also?
Yes, yeah. So, I had the pleasure of playing with him at some stage.
Okay, wonderful. We've had him on the show a couple of times here, James.
Oh, nice. Good man.
So who's your favorite golfer right now?
Besides Tiger Woods?
Yeah, besides Tiger Woods.
It's difficult, man. I like Scotty, and I think not because of what he's doing on the course, but just the human being he is. He goes and plays the game, because he's got the talent and he's been given the talent to play. And for him, it's just a career, because sometimes people can get big-headed and think it's about them. But Scotty seems like he's grounded, and he's proper.
Okay.
It's solid.
So when did you start playing Akhona Ndungane? Was it while you were playing rugby, or was it after your career that you started playing?
No, it was during. And how I started was, we used to go on tours in Australasia. And those were like 4 to 5 weeks on tour. And
for Tri Nations.
Yes, correct. No, even for Super Rugby as well.
Oh, for Super Rugby, yeah.
So my roommate at the time, Mr. Habana, when we had a day off, said, "Come, let's go and try golf." And then I thought, "No, man, why must I go and go chase after a small ball?" But I gave it a go, and as they say, the bug bit me at the time. And when I came back, I tried to improve on it, and I did. And fortunately for me, I was fortunate enough to get a sponsor Titleist.
Okay.
Yeah, so they look after me, so it makes my life easy. So which is something that I'm happy about.
Well, I heard you're an ambassador at Fencott. Is it Fencott?
No, Serengeti.
Serengeti.
Golf.
That's where you're the ambassador.
Yes, that is
Jeez,
correct.
no, this is serious. How good is Brian Habana?
At golf,
Mm.
he's not as good as his
rugby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that we can say.
And you guys were good friends.
Yes,
Because you played
No,
in that
it's a-
era of Brian Habana, and many
Yes.
people believe, hey, if it wasn't for Brian Habana, you could have got quite a bit more Springbok caps.
No, I think yes. I played at an era where we had very good wings.
Yeah.
It was him. It was JP Peterson,
JP.
and JP was young and he was good. And I think the coach Jake White and Peter de Villiers were looking for a big wing, and JP was filling that space. And I think Brian was one of the best wings in the world. Hence, he won World Rugby Player. And I think that's how sometimes life is. You look at the current crop of the Springbok side with Cheslin and Kirtley. Now they are the two best wings in the country. We still have Mapimpi that's not making the team. It's playing Currie Cup. So it just shows you that every time when you get an opportunity to play for your country, you must embrace it, and because you don't know who's going to come and take over from you.
So when you look back at your career, you must be proud of what you've achieved as a World Cup winner.
Yeah, I think if you look back from where I come from, Mthatha, Ekulu especially, and to be able to play for the Vodacom Bulls and to play for the Springboks, where I think every single player that puts on a jersey wants to play at that level. It's something that I look back and I'm very proud of it, and fortunate to be able to play for so long. And most of all, I think I enjoyed my time playing.
Which with athletes always say it's important. You must
It is.
enjoy the moment.
Yeah, because I think sometimes you tend to look past at what you're doing. You don't enjoy what is happening currently. So I think for me it was important to enjoy it, and I think that's how you make friends. And the guys I've played with, we still chat and touch now and again, touch base.
Jeez. So how did you start? Did you start at school?
So my dad used to play the game. He was scrum half, wing, fullback. Back in the days, he used to play for a club in Mthatha. So after church, he used to take us to go watch him. So I think that's how we got introduced to the game. And unfortunately, in Mthatha, the school I went to, St. Patrick's, didn't have rugby as a sport. So I did soccer and athletics. So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, here comes the next Dr. Kumalo. that was.
Were you decent?
That was in my mind. I was decent.
Okay.
Because I played for first team when I was under 15.
Jeez.
Okay.
No, that's good
Obviously,
enough.
Hudson Park didn't have a strong soccer team, but still, I felt I could have been the next 16V. But then God had a different path for me, and that's when we started to play the game in Hudson Park at.
Is that in East London?
That's in East London. Yes.
Yes.
So we got introduced to the game and we played, and years later we became the players.
Ndungane brothers. Okay,
Yes.
one half of the Ndungane brothers.
Yeah, one
Akhona
half.
is here. Oh, a half. What
Yeah.
is it? That was the right thing
It's
to
a
say.
half.
It's a half. Yes, it's not one half. So yeah, and then you mentioned you played at Hudson Park. Were you always wing? Were you always backline, wing, and center? Because back in the days, I know, hey, if you run fast, then they put you in the wing. Eh? They say, Sien, can wing too.
Not even back in the days, even now.
Even now, it still happens.
Yeah.
Eh?
Sometimes they put Grant Williams on the wing because
Yes,
it's
I've
fast.
seen that.
So
Yeah.
it does happen. We started off at centers, my brother and I.
12 and 13.
We had blue scrum caps, matching gloves, everything.
Yeah.
And then I think as time went, they saw the speed, like you say, and they sort of like said, "You want to try out on the wings?" And for us, I think it was just getting the chance to play. And obviously, once you spend so much time in a position, that's when you become good at it. And so the Bulls signed me from playing wing, so that's how I got to play for them.
And how did you get to the Bulls? Where were you before you went to the Bulls?
So I
Did you go to
played
Border?
for Border.
Oh.
I played for Eastern Province, and then the Bulls saw me when I was playing for Border, and that's when they approached me and asked me to come join them.
And you achieved great success at the Bulls.
Yeah.
They're winning
Yeah.
Super Rugby. You said you've won 2 of those 3 titles of the Bulls. What made that Bulls team so special, especially in the maybe early mid 2000s.
Yes, yeah. I think it was the character of the team. Hanneke Meyer always said that he doesn't want to pick the best players, but he wants to pick players that will fight for the jersey. And I think that's what made us special. And you know, it was a good thing that the players could play. You know, we had a couple of Springboks on our side. We had Springbok captains, Victor Matfield, Farid Dupree was also captain. So that, and I also believe that, you know, we had a very good squad. Competition in each position, because I think that's what you need to be able to be successful. You need a very healthy, competitive squad. And I think that's what we're seeing now with the teams, with the teams sort of like the Bulls and the Sharks. They've got players that could compete and dominate in any competition they compete in. So I think, you know, that was one of the sort of reasons why we were so successful in our year.
Of those 2 Super Rugby titles that you've won, is it safe to say the one in Durban was the sweetest? The one after the buzzer.
Yeah,
Brian
no,
Abana scored that last minute try.
And I think, you know, when the reason for that is because, you know, we went down in Durban after, you know, beating the Crusaders at home in the semi-final. And when Albert scored that try with 2 minutes left, you know, a lot of teams would have given up and thrown in the towel. But, you know, behind the post, Victor, who was our captain at the time, said, let's believe. We're going to kick the ball and then we're going to try and fight and get it back. Yes, Francois Steyn missed the kick, so that helped. Yes. And if you talk to a couple of Shark supporters, they will tell you that there's a couple of calls that the ref missed.
Yeah.
But it's how the game sometimes goes. And then Brian ran through a massive hole that, you know, you can't explain how it happened. And, you know, and it was after the time it had gone.
It was after the 80th minute.
And especially to beat your rival, which is the Sharks, you know, which had John Smith as the Springbok captain, at Percy, at Butch, a lot of good players. And for me, my brother was there, so I could get in his face. So that was special for me.
And talking about your brother, growing up, were you always in the same teams? Were you progressing at the same time?
Yeah, so fortunately, I think for us, we progressed at the same time. We played under 14A, first team, border under 21. And then that's when we went our separate ways, when he went to the Sharks and I came to the Bulls. Yeah.
And would you say you were pushing each other all the time, basically?
Yeah, I would say that. And I think, you know, because we were so competitive from a young age, you know, you always want to do better than your brother. And that's what was driving us. You know, I want to play as many games as more than him, and I want to score as many tries, and I want to beat him. And that was nice for us because it pushed us, you know. And I think that the beauty about it as well is that we were able to rely on each other. If someone is not selected because of an injury or loss of form, you know, I could phone him and just ask him how he handled not being selected, you know, and sort of, you know, that ear that can, or that shoulder to cry on, that helped as well, to have him being able to play at that level and knows exactly what it takes to play there.
There was talk back in the days that in the Springbok teams they would not pick both of you, even though you deserve to be there. They would try and pick one and sacrifice the other ones. Did you get that feeling also?
I wouldn't say. For me, first of all, I think it would have been nice to play with him, and I think my dad and my mother as well would have loved to see that. But unfortunately, some things doesn't go the way that we want, and that's life. And I think, you know, being part of the 2007 World Cup, winning the trophy, coming back to South Africa to celebrate with the country was something special. And I think now, on the other hand, for him as well, he got to play in the World Cup in New Zealand in 2011, even though they fell short of semi-finals. But I think it's something that we look back and we feel blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I wanted to go back to your days at the Bulls. How was the cultural difference coming from the Eastern Cape and going to the Bulls? Because at the time we were made to believe, or we used to hear from players or people close to the team, that the language that they use is Afrikaans when it comes to rugby. That's the common language.
Yes.
How was it just settling in and adjusting?
It was a big difference. You come from Mthatha, you move to East London, where it's just English and Xhosa. It's a small town as well. You move to Pretoria, it's a big town, it's a big city, close to Joburg. You always hear stories about Joburg, and it's mostly Afrikaans. But I think, fortunately for me, what helped me, so I spent a year and a half in PE, and PE has I think Afrikaans is also dominant.
Yes.
So I got to pick up a bit of Afrikaans, so that also helped me to be able to adjust and understand a bit of Afrikaans. And I think it is the way that you said it, that it's dominantly Afrikaans, and fortunately for me, I could understand when I got there.
Okay, let's go to the lines quickly. Morris from Mthatha. Okay, he's a homeboy of yours. Yeah, Morris is going to give us some information about the Ndungane brothers back in Mthatha. Good evening, Morris. Oh, he's gone. Morris, are you there? Okay. Try and call us back. 086 000 2479. Akhona Ndungane is here with us in studio. Or send us a voice note on 060584 2250. So just on that note, Akhona, of Afrikaans, would you know if things have changed now? Because we're seeing more black coaches coming onto the scene now, being given opportunities. Piwa Nomlomo finally has got his break at the Bulls also. Would you know if things are changing now?
Well, I hope he doesn't do his team talks in Afrikaans.
Let's hope he doesn't.
Yeah. So, I do believe that it has changed. We see a lot of black coaches coming through the ranks, and you've got Uphiwe Nomlomo, who I think has done great job with the Bulls. He went unbeaten, I think, for 6 rounds, and now he's in the semi-final. So it just shows you, and you go to Durban with JP Peterson, who's also a young coach. So I do believe that the culture is slowly changing, and I think it depends on the team itself. If it's Afrikaans dominated, then Afrikaans will be the main language. If it's English dominant, then it's English. So maybe in a couple of years' time we'll have a Xhosa coach, which is Uphiwe, speaking closer to his team. Yeah. But
are you also happy with the representation? There seems to be a lot of progress being made by rugby, especially with the Springboks now. Before, like we were talking earlier on, is that the black guys would be put in the wing, on the wing. Now you're seeing guys being trusted at 10 now. You're seeing guys playing in crucial positions in the loose forwards and all of that.
And I think it's about time, because we, like you say, the only players of color we've seen were only on the outside. And now we've got a Springbok captain who's won 2 World Cups from Ezwide. We've got a Sasha Ngomezulu, who's at 10, who's a youngster who's doing very well. We've got a Fasi, weekend special at 15, who's actually took his opportunity. So I think, if you look at that team, that Springbok side, you can see that it's representative of the country that we stay in. And I think it just shows you the excitement that's in the country currently. My mother-in-law, who's 80, wanted to watch the Springboks. So and it just shows you what I think that Springbok team has done in just showing the whole country what we can do when we're united.
And what's led to that? What do you think has been different with this team? Or just what's led to this more representation in rugby?
Well, I think it's just giving players fair opportunities that deserve it, and not being forced to select the players. I believe all the players that played for the Boks deserve to play there, and I think that's what Rassie has given to this team. He's given us the Siya Kolisi, Lukhanyo Ama, Kazola Mapimpi, players that previous time you wouldn't see playing for the green and gold, and I think that's why people feel like it's their team, it's our team, and you can see, and even at the stadiums you see everyone there, the black people, white people, celebrating this team that is doing so well.
And for you at the time, though, it must have been tough, because I know when black players were being picked for the team, everybody would automatically say you're a quarter player or it's transformation. And the thing, people would think that transformation is you are there because you are black, not because you can play. But it was actually to give those good enough an opportunity to play. How tough was it for you? I'm sure you would have had some doubters at the time, because you guys were one of the pioneers.
Yeah, it was tough. And unfortunately, it was something that needed to happen. Because for me, I felt that, if the player is good enough, he should be selected.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be pushed or just pick 3 players of color just because you have to. You have to select players that deserve to be there. So I think for us at the time, it was tough, but I think we had to try and put it at the back of our minds and just focus on doing what you have to do, because if you start to think about things that are out of your control, then you won't be able to perform at the highest level. So I think it's something that we try to, be part of and not be too involved in, because now you start to lose focus of what you have to do.
Which is to play rugby.
Which is to play rugby. And I'm happy that, nowadays it's not something that we still talk about. We see players of color coming through and actually performing and being celebrated, which is very nice.
Yeah, and you should be celebrated too for bringing the World Cup home back in 2007. I remember we're speaking to the former team manager, Mr. Zolaya, and he was speaking very highly of you guys. And JP Peterson was his boy at the time.
Yes.
What was key in that team? What did Jake White and just get right in that, just the makeup and the dynamics of that team?
Yeah, I think it's the belief, and he managed to have a balanced side with experience and youth, and for me, I joined the team a year later after Jake took over. And, the guys will tell you that in Bloemfontein, before the first test, he told them that we're going to win the World Cup in 4 years' time.
Oh.
And the guys,
Before his first test
Yes.
as a Bok coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
And obviously the players looked around and like, okay, what's this guy on about? We're not focused in France in 2007. We here now, we just want to play. But I think it's the seed that he planted in the player's mind, and I think going to the World Cup, he picked a squad with experience, like I said. Os Durant, who won the World Cup in 95, was there.
Yes.
And Francois Steyn, who was 21 at the time, was playing 12. Yes, Jean was the starter at 12, but unfortunately he picked up an injury. And Francois Steyn showed why he was the best 12 at the time. We had Percy Montgomery, who was very experienced. Calm Hurd at the back, and also JP Peterson was 21 as well. So
and he had to make the decision with John Smith and Bismarck also.
Exactly. And he was able to manage that, selecting between Bismarck and John Smith, because I think John was one of the best captains to ever captain the Springboks, and so I think you need to, as a coach, to have just the balance of the team, and with youth that will bring the excitement and the experience to bring the calmness when things are tough.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. Akhona Ndungane is here with us. Pio Nomolomo is going to join us. We're going to talk Curry Cup. But before we take a short break, Akhona, I just want a one-word answer from you.
I don't like these games.
Yours van der Westhuizen and Ofori Dupree.
No, why you must do that now?
Because I want to know.
I'll say 42.
Yeah! Yeah! That's my guy. That is my guy. For me, one of the greatest Springboks ever, if not the greatest, Fourie du Preez. I know people are nostalgic about this when they think about yours, guys, but Fourie du Preez was just something else, and I'm glad you were here to vouch for him. Okay, we're going to talk Curry Cup after the break. Coach Piwe will join us.
Hey, remember when our office turned into an indoor swimming pool from the flood incident?
Yeah, it's a tough one.